My wife's ex-boyfriend was standing on my porch at 9 o'clock at night, and standing right behind him was a woman I recognized instantly, someone I never expected to see again in my life. That's not how this story was supposed to start. An hour earlier, my wife had texted me 4 words that should have prepared me for anything. Don't believe anything he tells you. My name is Sam Whitaker. I'm 34, living in Portland, Oregon. Married to my wife Kayla for 5 years. That night she was working a late shift at the hospital when her text came through. No context, no explanation, just a warning about her ex-boyfriend Derek, a man I'd never met but heard mentioned exactly twice in 5 years of marriage. 20 minutes after that text, someone knocked on my door. Everyone watching this video, if you enjoy real emotional stories like this one, please hit that like button and subscribe right now. It genuinely helps this channel keep telling these stories every single week. Love you all. Now let's get back into it. I opened the door expecting Derek alone. Instead, standing beside him was a woman in her late 20s. Mascara streaked down her face like she'd been crying for hours. "Sam?" Derek said, clearly startled that I already knew his name. "I need 5 minutes. This is my sister Priya. She needs your help." I stood there, phone still in my hand, Kayla's warning text glowing on the screen. "Why would I help either of you?" I said, when my wife just told me not to believe a word out of your mouth. Derek's face changed completely. "Because this isn't about me and Kayla's past. This is about your daughter." I felt my entire chest tighten. "My daughter is at daycare right now," I said slowly. "What are you talking about?" Priya stepped forward, voice shaking. "I work at Sunshine Meadows Daycare. Your daughter Lily has been there for 2 years, right?" "Yes," I said, confusion mixing with rising panic. "There's been an incident," Priya said. "Not today. An ongoing situation the owner has been covering up for months. I'm the one who reported it internally 3 weeks ago, and I was fired for it yesterday. Derek is my brother." I called him panicking because I didn't know who else to trust, and he remembered Kayla mentioning you both used that daycare. "What kind of incident?" I demanded. "A staff member has been leaving children unsupervised for periods during nap time, sometimes 15, 20 minutes at a stretch, to take personal calls in the parking lot. I documented it, photos, timestamps, everything. When I reported it to the owner, she threatened to fire me if I went further, then did exactly that yesterday when I said I was contacting the state licensing board." I felt sick. Why would Kayla tell me not to believe anything from Derek then, if this has nothing to do with their history? Derek finally spoke. "Because Kayla already knows this information. She's known for 2 weeks. I told her myself, hoping she'd pull Lily out immediately. She told me to stay away from her family completely, that she'd handle it herself, and that if I ever contacted you directly, she'd make sure you never believed anything I said using our past relationship against me." I stared at him. Why would Kayla sit on information like this for 2 weeks? Neither of them had an answer. But my phone was already in my hand, dialing the daycare's after-hours emergency line. The daycare's emergency line went straight to voicemail. I hung up and immediately called Kayla instead. She picked up on the second ring, breathless. "Sam, don't listen to him, please, just—" "Kayla," I cut her off. "Is what Derek is telling me about Lily's daycare true or not? Yes or no?" Silence stretched long enough that I had my answer before she spoke. "Yes," she finally whispered. "It's true. But Sam, it's more complicated than what Derek probably told you." "Then uncomplicate it for me right now." Kayla's voice cracked. "The daycare owner, Denise, she's my cousin, Sam, my mother's sister's daughter. When Priya first reported the issue internally, Denise called me personally, begging me to trust her, promising she'd fix the staffing problem immediately. I believed her because she's family, and I didn't want to believe someone in our own family would knowingly endanger children, including our daughter. So you knew for 2 weeks and said nothing. I confronted Denise myself, Kayla said. She swore the specific employee was terminated. I checked in on Lily extra carefully every single day since then. Nothing seemed wrong. I thought it was handled. It wasn't handled, I said. Priya just got fired yesterday for trying to report it to the state. Kayla went quiet again. Denise told me Priya was fired for unrelated performance issues. And you believe that too? Over an eyewitness with documentation? I wanted to believe my own family wasn't capable of covering something like this up, Kayla said, voice breaking completely now. That's why I told you not to trust Derek. Not because he was lying, but because I was terrified that if you believed him, you'd realize how badly I misjudged this entire situation, trying to protect my cousin's reputation instead of prioritizing our daughter's safety immediately. I closed my eyes. Processing 5 years of marriage colliding with a decision I never saw coming. I'm going to get Lily right now, I said. Tonight. She's not going back there tomorrow. I left Derek and Priya standing in my living room and drove straight to Denise's house, since the daycare itself was closed for the night, arriving 20 minutes later with Kayla pulling into the driveway right behind me, having left work the moment we hung up. Denise answered her door already looking defensive, like she somehow knew this conversation was coming. Kayla, Sam, it's late. Can we talk about this tomorrow? No, Kayla said, stepping past her cousin into the house without invitation. We need to talk about this right now. Priya has documentation, photos, timestamps. She was fired yesterday for trying to report it to the state licensing board after you told her it was handled internally. Denise's face went through several emotions in rapid succession, landing finally on resignation. The employee I let go initially, Denise admitted quietly, was rehired 3 days later because I couldn't find adequate replacement staff fast enough, and I was terrified about losing enrollment if parents found out we were short-staffed. I thought I could monitor the situation more closely myself in the meantime. You let a known safety violation continue, I said, because you were worried about your business's reputation. I was going to fix it properly, Denise said. I just needed more time. Our daughter's safety isn't something you get to buy time on, Kayla said. And I heard something in her voice I'd never heard directed at family before. Complete, unflinching resolve. I'm calling the state licensing board myself tonight, and I'm supporting Priya's original complaint with everything I have. Denise's eyes filled with tears. Kayla, we're family. Family doesn't ask me to trust them over documented evidence that put my daughter at risk, Kayla said. Family also doesn't lie to my face for 2 weeks, while I second-guess the people trying to protect kids in that building. We left Denise's house 20 minutes later. Kayla called the state licensing board's emergency reporting line from the car, providing everything she knew, everything Priya had documented, and formally supporting Priya's original complaint. We picked up Lily from her grandmother's house that night instead of sending her to daycare the next morning. The state licensing board opened a formal investigation within 48 hours, ultimately confirming Priya's documentation and issuing violations against the daycare that led to significant policy changes, new mandatory supervision protocols, and Denise stepping back from daily operations while the facility restructured under new management. Priya, thanks to whistleblower protections, once the investigation confirmed her claims, received a settlement from Denise's business and was quickly hired at a daycare with a stellar safety record, one that specifically sought her out after learning about her role in the investigation. Derek and I actually became unlikely friends over the following months, brought together by a crisis neither of us expected to share. He'd spent years being the person Kayla warned people about, mostly because their breakup had been messy and public within her friend group. But watching him fight for his sister's credibility that night showed me a completely different side of him than the warning text had suggested. Kayla and I spent weeks working through what it meant that fear of disappointing family had almost cost us the chance to protect our daughter properly. We started family therapy together not because our marriage was in crisis, but because Kayla needed space to unpack why protecting her cousin's reputation had briefly outweighed her own instincts as a mother. "I almost let loyalty to the wrong thing put Lily in danger," she told me one night, months later. I need to understand why that felt easier than trusting an uncomfortable truth. Lily is thriving now at her new daycare, completely unaware of how close one ignored warning sign came to becoming something far worse. Kayla and Denise haven't spoken since that night, though Kayla has made peace with that distance, understanding that some family relationships aren't worth preserving at the cost of your own child's safety. If you've ever received a warning that felt inconvenient, one that would have required admitting someone you trusted had failed you, I hope our story reminds you of something important. The truth doesn't stop being true just because believing it costs you something you didn't want to lose.